If you're a parent and you're worried about what to do when your child has the flu, you need to know my top 5 influenza hacks. So I'm Dr. Williams, I'm a pediatrician and dad of 5, and I will admit to you, influenza makes me a little bit nervous. But by the end of this video, you'll have some great at-home flu remedies, as well as when to be concerned about your child's flu. Make sure you hit follow if you are looking for evidence-based and helpful pediatric content. But let's talk real quick about what influenza is and what influenza isn't, because I know a lot of people use the term the flu to describe all sorts of symptoms. Cough, cold, congestion, even stomach bugs can be termed the flu. I know that when I was a kid, anytime we had cough or congestion, that was called a cold, and then we had those symptoms plus a fever, and that was automatically called the flu. But what I'm going to talk about here is the actual influenza virus. Now, this is the virus that unalives tens of thousands of people every year in the United States. And this is the virus that pediatricians are so desperately, trying to vaccinate your kids against. There are just a lot of upper respiratory viral infections that people call the flu that just aren't. So here are the symptoms of influenza. Pause to read. Now, my first influenza tip or trick for children is take your kids to the doctor. If they have actual lab-confirmed influenza virus, we actually have an antiviral medication that will make your child sick for less amount of time. The trick though, this medicine only works if we catch the influenza in the first 48 hours of symptoms. Next, you're gonna wanna treat your kids' symptoms. There's no reason for them to be miserable. Most medicines will target cough, cold, congestion, fever, body aches, those kinds of things. Now, I will say I have a video that talks about what cough and cold medicines are safe at different ages, but I also have a video that talks about why cough and cold medicines might not be my favorite option. So, of course, depending on their age, things like ibuprofen, Tylenol, honey, a humidifier, nasal saline, nasal suctioning, those kinds of things are your safest options and probably your best bets. The next couple are really important. They will prevent your child from being hospital sick, right? There's at-home sick and then there's hospital sick. You really have to keep your child hydrated. Now, you might find you're a little bit more successful giving small amounts of fluids, but more frequently. Watch your kiddo for signs of dehydration like a dry mouth, they're not making tears, maybe they're not going to the bathroom as much or making as many wet diapers, or definitely anytime they're just like a bump on a log or overly fussy. These all might be signs of dehydration and potentially a reason to go visit the ER. The influenza symptom that I always worry about the most is respiratory distress. Now, this is going to look like a kid who's just sitting there, but they're still breathing harder and faster than they need to be. Maybe you're seeing some nostril flaring, or there's a little notch right here above their sternum that kind of gets sucked in, or maybe you're just counting more ribs than you would usually count while they're breathing. These are all signs that your kid needs to be evaluated by a doctor. And probably my best advice is just don't let your kids get influenza in the first place. Of course, I'm a pediatrician, I'm gonna tell you, vaccinate your kids against the flu, but also make sure they're washing their hands, make sure they stay home when they're sick, and don't let any weirdos cough all over them. In the meantime, do me a favor and share this page with a mom friend who may be interested in evidence-based and helpful pediatric content.